But pranams, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Welcome, welcome to our Jaiva dharma study. And today is the Tirobhava of Pujapad Isvara Puri. Very, very special devotee today, the disappearance day. So we'll say something about him as well as our study of Jaiva dharma. We'll have a kirtan first. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh Nitai Hey, Nitai Hey, Nitai Hey, oh Nitai Hey, Nitai Hey, Nitai Hey, Nitai Hey, Nitai Hey. Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Oh Gaura Hey 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 Oh Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Oh Radhe 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 Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju ki jai, Brisha Bonanandini Vajeshwari Radharani ki jai, Nityananda Rai ki jai, Satchinandana Gaurahari ki jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Surabhi Kunj ki jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astottara Sarashishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astottara Sarashishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gaurikishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sabhavoma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Vrantaracharya Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Siromani Shila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pada Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shivata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sika Hol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadweep Mayapur Simantadweep Gaudamdweep Madhyadweep Koladweep Richardweep Janadweep Modandweep Rudradweep Apmatkanavadweep Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasavad Matmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radhakund Shamakund Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Gopishwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jai Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prava Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Jari Dham Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Chari Acharya Ki Jai, Akada Mataraj Sri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Grantaraj Shimar Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginatimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Surupe Daita Surupe Prema Surupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhuveka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavartinokalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Sadipita Sadahradare Kandare Swaratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Juhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Binendustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharatram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasarashi Shimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasarashi Shimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Vrayate, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavena. So today is the sacred day, the Tirobhava of our dearmost Srila Ishvara Puripad, the direct spiritual master of Sachinandan Gaurahari. Ishvara Puripad was attracted by Madhavendra Puripad. Madhavendra Puripad is described as the Prem Ankur. He is like the root of Bhav Bhakti. Bhav Bhakti principally had not been prominently displayed or practically spoken about or even contemplated particularly. But Madhavendra Puri broke through all traditional prohibitions and phobias and was just completely immersed fully, deeply in the deepest bhavs we can conceive of. And Nityananda Prabhu came also. Advaita Acharya took shelter of Madhavendra Puri. Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So many illustrious personalities came to the flag of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, he followed one vow. Um, what's that vow called? Um, Ayachaka Vritti. Ayachaka Vritti, which meant he never would beg. And being a sannyasi, he didn't have any money to buy anything, so he would be utterly dependent on the Lord for everything. And if someone didn't um, provide anything, then he would happily just fast. This is what he would. This was his regular um, pastime, and this is very high mood. And so Ishvara Puri, he would embrace that same mood as his Gurudev, and he would also conduct his life in such a detached, renounced way. But we can only do this if one is fully immersed in their affection and attraction to Krishna. Otherwise, that would be false renunciation. So, Ishvara Puri, his birthplace is Halisahar, and it's in Kurmahatta. It's about 20 miles north of Calcutta, in the Hooghly district, it's described. And he had his birthplace there. But he stayed in the ashram in Gaya, where Madhavendra Puripad would stay. And he also stayed in Remuna with Madhavendra Puri sometimes. Mahaprabhu, he first met Ishvara Puri in the street of Navadvip. And immediately he was attracted by the nature and physiognomy of this personality. This personality was walking around really incognito, because there's a story in the Chaitanya Bhagavat when Ishvara Puri comes into the house of Advaita Acharya, into the courtyard, and no one knows who he is. He's just like a regular person, probably just wearing dhoti and kurta like that, but nothing. I don't think they wore saffron then, particularly. I don't think that was prominent. They were following the Babaji line more of just white dress. Mahaprabhu, he took the saffron cloth, but I don't think that uh, Madhavendra Puri did particularly. And Advaita Acharya was suspicious. This looks a very wonderful person, but he's not openly demonstrating who he is at all. So then Mukunda, he sang a beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam about the gopis and Krishna. And it doesn't say what that verse was. Akshan Fatam Phalam Idam Na Paramam Vidama, maybe this one, from the Venu Gita. And immediately, like with Pundarik Vidyanidhi, that pastime with Gadadhar, immediately Ishvara Puri went into total ecstasy on hearing this verse. And then they could all recognize the depth of his bhav and the speciality of his personality. And then Advaita Acharya was overjoyed, because Advaita Acharya was already initiated or connected fully with Madhavendra Puri. Then this was Madhavendra Puri's Shishya. So Mahaprabhu met Ishvara Puri. They had some very pleasant exchanges, and Ishvara Puri had a book at the time called Krishna Lilamrita, and he wanted Mahaprabhu to actually look at it and comment on it. Mahaprabhu at that time was still playing Nimai the scholar, Nimai the professor. He was still playing that role. And Mahaprabhu, he said at that time, he said, anything you write from a saint has got to be perfect. It would be arrogance of me to find any fault in your writings at all. So he didn't do that. But Gadadhar Pandit was there, and Gadadhar, he read it, and he was just confirming what Ishvara Puri had written. And then Mahaprabhu makes that connection with Ishvara Puri over a few days, and then he goes later on to Gaya. And in Gaya, he comes in front of the footprints of Vishnu there to take his father's remnants there. do his Shraddha ceremony, and he um, meets at that place Ishvara Puripad. Mahaprabhu has become ecstatic at this point in uh, that place, seeing Vishnu's holy feet in those the, like a shellogram form they have there. And um, he meets again with Ishvara Puripad, and then he invites Ishvara Puri to lunch in the room where he's staying. And then he cooks for Ishvara Puri and very, very carefully serves him. And they have such a special exchange between them. And then Mahaprabhu requests um, Diksha mantras at that time from Ishvara Puri. He initiates him then. And then Mahaprabhu comes back to Navadvip, totally transformed personality because of the infusion of mood from Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri, being connected to Madhavendra Puri, is described as the Prem Ankur. That's like the very root of Bhav Bhakti. And then Ishvara Puri himself is described, Madhavendra Puri is the Ankur, Prem Ankur, that Ishvara Puri is like the sapling, the tree, and Mahaprabhu is the full grown tree of Prem. So this sequence, the three of them. So when Madhavendra Puripad was leaving this world, then Ishvara Puri served him fully. He cleaned him on the bed, and so he couldn't move off his bed, Madhavendra Puri, when he was incapacitated. And Ishvara Puri gave his whole life to serving him. And Madhavendra Puri blessed him and told him to go and, no, he didn't tell him. There was another two servants there, Govinda and Kashishwar. They're also disciples of Madhavendra Puri. And he told those two to go to Puri and serve Mahaprabhu in Puri. They were disciples of Madhavendra Puri. They were told to go and serve Mahaprabhu in Puri. And then shortly after this, Ishvara Puri, he leaves this world. But we can go to his Shripad, his birthplace today in Halishwar, and it's called Chaitanya Doba, because Doba means like a lake, a pond. Because when Mahaprabhu was there honoring his guru, he took some remnant, some dirt from in front of his place and tied it in his cloth, and was taking just a little bit of that each day in remembrance of his Guru Maharaj. And then other people, they saw what he did and they all started to do the same, thousands of people. So now there's a huge pond there in front. It's a big lake. It's called Doba, Chaitanya Doba. And when you go to this place, you see this lake. It's very beautiful. And it was dug by people just taking um, uh, the dust from that place of Ishvara Puripad. But Ishvara Puripad is such a special person for the devotees to remember and to beg for his kripa, because he was so intimately connected with Madhavendra Puri, and he carried that current across to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everything has to be performed completely according to the traditional uh, guru, shishya, disciple, etc. If Mahaprabhu had done anything different, then other people would have followed different paths. So Mahaprabhu himself is taking initiation in the line of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri actually is in the Madhava Sampradaya, but he was not connecting directly with what the precepts were that they were saying at that time. He was he sort of separated himself somewhat, but he was in that, he was of that line. So this is Ishvara Puri. Today we're remembering very fondly this incredible, such humble personality. We remember his qualities. So Ishvara Puripad Ki Jai, Gold Premanandi. It's his disappearance day today, Tirobhava. Okay, so now we'll come to our Jaiva dharma study, and we're into the second, correct? Huh? Jade Dvaita Gyana Hoya Chitta Upadaya Krishna Bhakti Chiradina Upaya Upay. Such knowledge, which is slowly related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world Chit Jagat should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upaya, means of attainment, and the upaye, the goal worthy of attainment. So we reject the nimitic and we embrace the nitya. And this is both the goal to be achieved and the means to the goal. We accept both. This is actually ultimately the Hare Krishna mantra, our sadhan bhajan. It's the means and it's the goal. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're performing the abhidheya process to achieve uh, our relationship with Krishna. And once we have our relationship confirmed in our hearts, then the chanting is going to bring that relation fully into blossom. So the Hare Krishna is the abhidheya as well as the prayojan. Jiva kavu jadonai, Hare kavunai, Hare saha jiva chintya beta beta mai. The jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he Kevaladvaita, absolutely one in all ways with Sri Hari. The jiva is inconceivably different and non-different from Hari. So we've explained this many times. Achintya Beta Abheda Tattva. We are parts Vibhinamsa of Krishna. We have that Sat Chit Ananda seed within us, but it's in potential. It hasn't blossomed until we have reached our full potential, we can say, of our practice and the mercy of Guru and our Guru Vargya. This will give us this realization that I have the Shakti of the Supreme Lord within me. And if he wants to empower his servant, like we see so many of our Guru Vargya, like we see Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaura Shakti, completely empowered to do something beyond human capacity. He had a family of 12, 13 people. He had a magistrate's job. He wrote hundreds of books, hundreds of poems, hundreds of treaties, translations, etc. He was traveling, preaching. He uncovered all of the holy places in Goradam. Before Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the holy places in the Dham were all covered over, practically all of them. Surabhi Kunj wasn't even on the map. What to speak of the Yog Pit? Bhaktivinoda Thakur reawakened this. He uncovered. He did all this. He did the work we were saying the other day of 6 Goswamis, as well as being a grihasta in family life. So this is a definite demonstration of empowerment. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he went with, $40 in his pocket to the US and then started so many hundreds of thousands of, or inspired so many hundreds of thousands of conditioned jivas to chant Hare Krishna all across the planet. This is not an ordinary feat at all. So this is the spirit soul that is being benedicted by Krishna directly. We have that capacity within us, that potential, if we are surrendering to Mahaprabhu's mission entirely with our heart and soul. Krishna can empower any one of us at any time to take his movement forward. Deha kaba jivanai, kdara bhogyanai, dasya bhoga jiva Krishna Prabhu bhakta hai. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and enjoy. The jiva's swarup is Krishna Das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Sri Krishna's swarup is Prabhu, master and bhakta, enjoyer. Yes, that's our confusion always. This is what we're going to discuss today, the distinction of Tatastha Shakti. Between the Chit Shakti and the Maya Shakti lies this area of Tatastha Shakti, where the jivas are manifesting from, the marginal energy, and we're halfway between the two. Jaiva dharma nahiyache deha dharma kata, nahiyache jiva gyan mayavada prata. This book, entitled Jaiva Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavad doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahm. So the jiva's oneness with Brahm is Nirvishesh Brahm. Practically, that's your only alternative if you can't connect with the Lord. if you're understanding that this material world is full of suffering and you are not following the path of bhakti, the only alternative you have is to follow the path of mukti or moksha. That's nirvishesh Brahm. And that's what most people in the world follow if they're not following the path of devotion. All the various societies of the world that aren't Hare Krishna based are all focused on Shantaras and going back into the Brahman, basically. Jivan Nitya Janama Bhakti Tahe Jadanai Shura Jiva Prema Seva Phala Payatai. The Jiva's Nitya Dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation. That's his Nitya Dharma. That's very encouraging to appreciate. That is my eternal nature, is one of bhakti, of devotion. The jiva purified by seva attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem, simply by the performance of devotional service. Bhaktyamam vijananti yavan yaschasmi tatvataha. That Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, I am only attained by pure devotional service. And throughout the Gita, this direction is being encouraged for devotional service exclusively. And this will uncover the potential within the heart of our natural service to the Lord, where all our fortune lies. Okay, so we come to chapter 14 today, to Shakti Tattva. And I've put on our WhatsApp thread a very helpful map of all the different Shaktis, etc. Chit Shakti, Maya Shakti, Jiva Shakti. And it's very helpful reading this chapter to have that map close by. So understand what we've read so far. Amnaya Praha. This is the evidence in the Dasmula Shlok, the first shloka. Amnaya Praha Tattvam. What is the um, principal evidence that these nine pramayas are going to be based on? And in that chapter we've just read, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings out all the different Upanishads, etc., establishing the principle of the evidence. He even gives the whole disciplic succession is there to confirm the authenticity of this evidence. And then in this 13th chapter, he goes on to describe the Brahman or Paramatma realization. This is described. First of all, Brahman realization, and then Paramatma realization. And finally, in the conclusion of this 13th chapter, he brings us the radiant, smiling face of the Lord in the most personal way of elucidating on all his 64 qualities. Every single quality of Krishna we read yesterday. This brings the personal aspect very potently to the forefront of the consciousness. When you hear repeatedly these qualities of Krishna, you can't put these qualities anywhere else. They only be directed, they're personal qualities. So this is the conclusion of this 13th chapter. We've gone through the Brahman, then we have first we had the Amnaya, then we had the Brahman, then we had the Paramatma, and finally we had the absolute personality of the Lord himself with all of his qualities. So when you leave this chapter, you're fully fixed in the personal conception. So now we're coming to this chapter about Shakti Tattva, because Krishna himself, this Shakti Tattva is manifesting ultimately from him with its own um, uh, potency. Krishna himself doesn't actually do anything. My Gurudev said many, many times, Krishna is like Nirvishesh Brahm without Shakti. It is Swarup Shakti that manifests everything in the worlds. It's like we have the sun planet, but the sun is sitting in its own heat and its own radiance. And Krishna, he is also sitting surrounded by his own Shakti. And his own Shakti is manifesting all of the worlds and everything in creation. But Krishna himself is doing nothing. So this is what's going to be unfolded here. Shakti is there throughout. So, Prameya, Shakti Tattva. So, yes, Amnaya Praha Tattvam Iha Paramam. What is it? Paramam. Then Sarva Shaktim. This is what we're going to discuss now. The Sarva Shaktim. And then Rasabdim. The rasa is going to be discussed in this 14th chapter also. There's going to be two prameyas in this chapter. The Shakti Tattva and the Rasa Tattva will be touched on at the end. It'll be very clear, the distinction. So, chapter 14, Prameya Shakti Tattva. The Venerable Babaji's teachings from the previous night made a deep impression on Brajanath, and as he contemplated all those instructions, he felt satisfied. We can appreciate that. All of a sudden, Brajanath, he's come into the association of such an elevated Vaishnava, and he's completely purified all the different misconceptions he had concerning the personality of the Lord. Brajanath himself said that he was a Shiv Bhakta previously. This is who he was worshipping from birth. But now he's understanding the supremacy of the Supreme Lord with conclusive evidence. So this prameya has been established in the heart of Brajanath by this stage. Sometimes he thought, oh, how extraordinary and unparalleled are Sri Gauranga's teachings. Yes, these are all Sri Gauranga's teachings that are being opened out here. This is the nature of, this is why this Jaiva dharma is such a treasure today, because it's carrying the conceptions directly of Mahaprabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam is there, carrying the same conceptions, but it's written 5,000 years ago by Vyasadeva. But these conceptions are like completely up to date with the direct infusion of Rupa Goswami's teachings. And who is going to, Rupa Goswami's teachings is the personality who's going to open up Mahaprabhu. Without Rupa Goswami, we can't even begin to understand who is Mahaprabhu, not at all. So these are all contained, these teachings of Rupa Goswami and all our guru. When I say Rupa Goswami, that means Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc. They're all following. Everyone in our line is following Rupa Goswami. Extraordinary and unparalleled are Sri Gauranga's teachings. Just hearing them, I feel as if thrust within the waves of an ocean of nectar. And the more I hear, the more thirsty and eager I become to hear. It appears this is the symptom of transcendental knowledge. This is what I was saying about this Jaiva dharma itself. The more we read it, the more we hear it, the more enthusiastic we become to read it again and again and again. Because it's not easy to actually catch it first time or second time or third time or even fourth time. But that enthusiasm is almost like a mystical ability of a powerful grunter like this. It gives the heart of the reader great enthusiasm to move forward into these wonderful truths, all of Mahaprabhu. The more I hear, the more thirsty and eager I become to hear. It appears that the condensed nectar of all tattvas streams from Babaji Maharaj's lotus mouth, and my heart never becomes satiated by hearing. All his teachings on Siddhanta are perfectly balanced, without a trace of inconsistency. If you go back through that 13th chapter, you'll see the absolute truth of that. It's seamless, they say. There's no break in the consistency of the truths that he's presenting. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And the way it's presented is so clear to a sensitive reader. It is as if the Shastras are all running after those conclusions to verify every letter of them. I can't understand why the Brahmin society criticizes these teachings. I think that their bias towards Mayavad must have made them adopt a false philosophy. Yes, Mayavad means they want to exploit the material world. They're not able to accept Krishna, his supremacy, sufficiently. When you can't accept the Achintya Shakti of the Supreme Lord, you can't actually begin to approach that transcendental state of consciousness, because everything will be locked down by fear, by tradition, all of these inflictions we throw on them from our minds, etc. But once you accept fully, when that Shraddha is completely deep and mature, then that appreciation will carry us forward. So that first premise of Shraddha must be that it's the first of the 8 or 7 um, stages of bhakti. Then Shraddha, then Bhajana Kriya, Ananta Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. All of these stages are beginning. But don't forget that Shraddha will go through all of them. Shraddha is never complete. It's like daily our Shraddha is going to be evolving, to becoming deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not something, oh yes, I have faith, close the book, that's the end of it. It's like every single day that's maturing. It's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. The more we read, the more we hear, the more mercy we get. I can't, yes. Brajanath was thinking in this way as he reached Raghunath Das Babaji's kutia. First, he offered obeisances to the kutia, and then seeing Babaji Mahashai, he offered obeisances to him. Babaji Mahashai lovingly embraced him and made him sit beside him. I think that's very pertinent also. He's not like Babaji sitting on a big high seat and everyone's sitting down below. There's no mood of Aishwarya here. There's mood of, I am your best well-wisher. I want to share with you the truths that lie in your own heart of spiritual reality. It's with such a loving mood. This is the mood that a sensitive sadhak can hear the truth and the philosophy in this mood, not in a dictatorial way, or there's a mood here that I appreciate very much. Lovingly embraced him and made him sit beside him. Sitting down with great enthusiasm, Brajanath asked, Prabhu, you told me yesterday that you would explain the third shloka of Das Mula. I earnestly desire to hear it. Kindly be merciful and explain it to me. Babaji became very happy to hear this, and with his hairs standing on end, in rapture, began to speak. Parakyaha shakte apritag api sa sva mahimani stito jivakyam swam achit abitam tam tri padikam swa tantrecha shaktim sakala vishaya parena paro vikaradya sunya param purusho yam vijayate. Das Mula 3. Although Sri Bhagavan is non-different from his inconceivable transcendental potency, Parashakti, he's the same as his Shakti. He has his own independent nature and desires. You can think of an example of a fire and the heat from the fire. The heat of the fire is simultaneously one with the fire, right? But the heat is completely dependent on the fire. But the fire is not dependent on the heat at all for its existence. But nevertheless, the two are essentially one. So, in the same way, the fire has its own independence from the heat. The heat doesn't have independence. The Shakti doesn't have independence. But the fire ultimately has independence, even though you can't separate them. They're together. So try to understand like this. His Parashakti consists of 3 aspects: Chit Shakti, spiritual potency; Jiva Shakti, marginal potency; and Maya Shakti, external potency. So these are all separate Shaktis: Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti. It's all Shakti Tattva, but there's divisions within the Shakti Tattva to make it simple for us to comprehend something. And he always inspires them to engage in their respective functions. Yes, he's the inspiration of the Shakti. That's Krishna's contribution, you can say. Krishna has the desire and Shakti fulfills that desire. Shakti, Shakti Matayor. This is what we're going to be discussing. If we get the sort of premise right at the beginning, then the rest of it will become reasonably simple. He always inspires them to engage in their respective functions. That Paratattva, supreme absolute truth, even while performing all these activities, still remains immutable and eternally situated in the fully transcendental swarup of his own glory. Now that's amazing. It's like the fire still remains in his own swarup, even though he's surrounded by the heat, the energy from the fire. He still intrinsically has his own nature. It's saying here he has his own swarup. So this is the seed verse. This is the mul verse, the das mul. Rajanath, the Brahmanas declare that the Brahm form of Paratattva has no Shakti, and they say that his Shakti is only manifest in his Ishvara form. I would like to hear the conclusion of the Vedas about this. Babaji, the Shakti of Paratattva manifests in all his forms. The Vedas say, Na tasyak karyam karanam cha vidyate, na tat samash chabhyatkas cha drishyate, parasya shaktir vividaiva suryate, swabhaviki gyan bala kriya cha. Svetashvara Upanishad 6, 7, and 8. None of the activities of that Parabrahm, Paramatma, is mundane, because none of his senses, such as his hands and legs, is material. This is the point. Thus, through the medium of his transcendental body, he performs his pastimes without any material senses, and he is present everywhere at the same time. Therefore, no one is even equal to him, what to speak of being greater than him. The one divine potency of Parameshwara has been described in Shruti in many ways, among which the description of his Gyan Shakti knowledge, his Bal Shakti power, and his Kriya Shakti potency of activity are most prominent. These are also called Chit Shakti or Sangvit Shakti, Sat Shakti or Sandini Shakti, and Ananda Shakti or Hladini Shakti, respectively. So it really does make it very simple if you have that map that we've made with all the different names on it to see it, how it all falls into place. Regarding a description of the Chit Shakti, so now he's going to explain these three prominent Shaktis, Chit, Jiva, and Maya. Regarding the description of the Chit Shakti, it is said, Te dhyana yoganugata apashyan devatma shaktim swa gunai nigudam ya karanani nikilani tanani kalatma yuktani adishtyati eka. The Tattva Gyan rishis establish themselves in Samadhi Yoga and being infused with the qualities of Parabrahm. Through those qualities, they have directly perceived his most confidential internal transcendental potencies. Thus, they have realized Bhagavan, who is the basis and governor of all causes, and the jiva of Prakriti, of the jiva, I'll read that again. Thus, they have realized Bhagavan, who is the basis and governor of all causes, of the jiva, of prakriti, material nature, of kala, time, and of karma. So the rishis, they have fully realized in their samadhi the full purport of Krishna's paratattva directly through the knowledge aspect, through gyan. This doesn't say that with prem. This is actually through Gyan that they have realized. The Chit Shakti is represented as Gyan. It will lead to Prem if it's followed, but here it's described in a separate form. This is the Tattva Rishis says specifically, doesn't say the Brijbasis or anything like that. It's saying the Tattva Rishis, Tattva Gyan Rishis. So I'm going to keep reading because so much of this is going to be explained in the future paragraphs, and it's better just to hear Bhaktivinoda Thakur directly give the clarity of his explanations. But we get the fundamental conception here. Regarding Jiva Shakti, Ajam Ekam Lohita Sukla Krishnam Bhavi Praja Shrimanam Swarupaha Ajo Hi Eko Jusamano Nushate Jahatye Anam Bhukta Bogam Ajo Nya. Shvetashvara Upanishad 4.5. There are two types of unborn Aja Jivas. Jivas of the first type are Agyani, ignorant, and worship Bhagavan's Prakriti. They worship the material energy. That Prakriti, whose modes are red, white, and black, is also unborn like Bhagavan. However, the second type of Aja are Gyanis. They have overcome ignorance and therefore completely renounced that Prakriti which the others strive to enjoy. So there's Gyanis and there's the Agyanis. This is what's being described, these two types of people.
Have you had any more realization on the red, white, and black?
The red, I understand, is like the passion, Raja. The white is like Sattva, and the black is like Tama. That's my appreciation today. I want to read this again so we can go deeper into it. There are two types of unborn Aja Jivas. Jivas of the first type are Agyani, ignorant, and worship Bhagavan's Prakriti. That's Bhagavan's material nature. That Prakriti, whose modes, yes, the three modes of material nature, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, is also unborn like Bhagavan. Yes, they're not manifest, born. However, the second type of Aja are Gyanis. They have overcome ignorance and therefore completely renounce that Prakriti which the others strive to enjoy. Now, regarding Maya Shakti, Chandamsi Yagna Kratavo Vartani Bhutam Bhuvyam Yakcha Veda Vedanti Asmam Mayi Srijate Vishvam Etat Tasmims Kanyo Mayaya Sanirudaha. Shvetashvara Upanishad 4.9. Paramatma, who is the master of Maya Prakriti, the deluding material nature, has created all the teachings of the Vedas, special yagyas such as Jyotishmo that are performed with ghee, various types of vrata, fasts, sacrifices, penance, and everything else in existence in the past, present, and the future. That is, the entire world whose description is found in the Vedas. The Ishvara of Maya has created all of this, and the Aja Jivas are bound by his Maya. So we're discussing the distinction. You have Ishvara, and you have the Jiva, and you have Maya. We're discussing these three Shaktis. Krishna is represented by the Chit Shakti, and then you have the Jiva Shakti, which is the marginal Tatastha Shakti, and then you have the external energy. This is all going to be clearly explained. The Vedic mantra Parasya Shakti, Svetashvara Upanishad 678, quoted on page 308, explains that there is transcendental Shakti in even the highest stage of Paratattva. So the question that Brajanath raised was that many were saying that the Brahmanas were not accepting Shakti within the Brahman. They were thinking that there was no Shakti in the Brahman. But this is the question that he's addressing here. explains that there is transcendental Shakti in even the highest stage of the Paratattva. The personal appearance of that Paratattva is called Bhagavan, and the Nirvishesh manifestation is called Brahm. This is the Brahmajyoti. Nowhere in the Vedas is the Paratattva described as being without Shakti. This was the question you asked me the other day, Shobharani. So Shakti is manifesting everywhere. It's like Sandini means existence. So this also manifests everywhere. Anything that has existence is manifesting from the Sandini Shakti. So any type of energy whatsoever, even the Nirvishesh Brahm that has potency, is manifesting from Swarup Shakti ultimately. It's all coming from there. Even though within it, there's absolutely limited Shakti acting, but still it's manifesting from that Shakti. What is called Brahm is a manifestation of Paratattva, and this Nirvishesh Brahm is also manifested by Parashakti. Therefore, there is transcendental potency in Nirgun Nirvishesh Brahm as well. So even in this impersonal Brahm, there is Shakti. It's the Shakti of impersonalism. That's what it is. Just like I gave the example of existence. Sandini is existing in so many different forms. But Sandini Shakti, by the way, doesn't exist in the Brahmajyoti. There is no existence potency there. The existence potency begins with Paramatma. In the next stage, beyond the Brahmajyoti, we have Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there's no existence in the Brahman. It's void of that, but it still has Shakti, which is what we're reading here. Therefore, there is transcendental potency in Nirgun Nirvishesh Brahm as well. In some places in the Vedas and the Upanishads, this Parashakti is called Swarup Shakti. In others, Chit Shakti, and elsewhere it has been called Antaranga Shakti. We become very familiar with these names. Swarup Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, Chit Shakti, they're all the same. They're all the supreme internal potency of the Lord. If we usually, Swarup Shakti is what's mentioned, and we appreciate that Swarup Shakti. And this Swarup Shakti ultimately is Shri Radhika. She is the essence of that Shakti, and Krishna is the Shaktiman, the inspiration for that Shakti. In some places in the Vedas and the Upanishads, this Parashakti has been called Swarup Shakti, in others Chit Shakti, and elsewhere it has been called Antaranga Shakti. Actually, there is no such Vastu as Brahm without Shakti. So we remember what a Vastu is. A Vastu is that complete entity in its own existence, like Krishna, like the Jiva, and like Maya. These three Vastus were discussed in the first chapter. There's only three Vastus: Krishna, Maya, and the Jiva. They're all in separate entities, separately contained completely. It's like an element. We talk about an element, there's nothing more than that. Elemental. It's like at the very core. So these three Vastus are the very core of all existence. And this Sambandha Gyan that we've just walked through in the first 12 chapters is about the relationship between these three. That's what that was all about. And now we're unpacking closely the nature of these energies, these Shaktis. And it's not supposed to be something that we can grasp and have in our pockets and understand and get a university degree on it, something. It's something that you will have appreciation of as you move forward in your devotional service. I can remember personally for so many years, more than 30 years, trying to appreciate what is the nature of this Chit Shakti, what is the nature of this Sandini, what is the nature of all of these Shaktis. It takes time, so be patient and don't try to understand it. Try to appreciate this description, which is completely to the conditioned soul achintya. It's completely beyond our intellect. So if you're struggling to try and reduce it to mundane understanding, you're going to shrink it, so to speak. It's not to be shrunk. It's an open, very liberated state to appreciate. And when we're chanting, etc., when we're meditating deeply, at different times, these thoughts will surface again in our consciousnesses, and Krishna will illumine at different times for us. And gradually, gradually, slowly, we'll get a picture. If we read this chapter, for example, 50 times, that's what's required if you want to become closer and closer. It's a life experience entering into these things. So don't become frustrated if it's difficult to appreciate, difficult to understand. Don't try to understand it. Try to appreciate it. Try to realize it from the end of the last chapter, expressing the glories of Krishna's personal form. Now, these are his Shaktis that he's describing. This is the build up, the makeup, where everything is emanating from, where all the divinity is coming from, the Chit Shakti, where the Jivas are coming from, this Tatastha Shakti, and where Maya is coming from. Actually, there is no such Vastu as Brahm without Shakti. It is simply an imagination of the Mayavadis. In reality, the Nirvishesh Brahm is beyond the limited conception of Mayavad. The Savishesh Brahm has been described as follows in the Vedas. Ya eko varano bahuda shakti yogad. Varanan anekan nihita tato arto dadati. Shvetashvara Upanishad 4.1. Although he has one color, he assumes several colors, bhavs, by dint of his personal Shakti. Many colors, that is, various types of potency, exist within him. Indeed, the whole world has its being in him, for he is its creator. Ya eko jalavan ishyata ishani bi, sarval lokan ishata ishani bi. Shvetashvara Upanishad 3.1. He who is the Ishvara of the whole world is one without a second, and he is the Lord of Maya, which is like a net in which the jivas are ensnared. He regulates the entire world by his Aisha Shakti. His Aisha Shakti is described as his Tatashta Shakti, his marginal energy. Okay, we'll stop there. And we'll continue tomorrow. But actually, believe me, when we go through a couple of pages more, all of a sudden it becomes so much clearer. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is throwing us all the entire um, process of the entire description in the beginning. And all this is going to be unpacked. So have hope that you will appreciate it more easily in the next pages. It becomes more and more simple as we go on, genuinely. But it's good to challenge our, faculties to stretch the consciousness to because this is a vast topic, and we're trying to understand or trying to appreciate it from a very conditioned state. So tomorrow we'll carry on. Jaiva dharma ki jai, Shakti tattva ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gold Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo Hare Nitai Gora Haribol 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 Gora Haribol Nitai Gora Haribol 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 Gora Haribol Gaur Premanande Hari Haribol Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai Jaiva dharma Ki Jai Shakti Tattva Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnave Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Hare Bol.